12 hidden features of my Japanese house. Full house tour video here. Point number 1, roof tiles. One of the main features of the house is this central courtyard that the house wraps around. There are these roof tiles, traditional Japanese roof tiles, in this corner of the courtyard. And what's special about these is that these were actually made by my wife's grandfather. He made these for a living. My wife and I had seen people use roof tiles in this way, sort of recycling them to create this Zen aesthetic in architecture. We wanted to do the same thing while also sort of, injecting her family's DNA into the house. Point number 2, hidden full-length mirror. So right now we're in the genkan of the house, the entryway to the house, but this is actually the guest genkan. We don't keep our shoes here such that when guests come over, they can smoothly come up into the house and not have to walk over our shoes and other things. We keep all of those things in this room. This is the family genkan, and when we come into the house, we use this space. But what's special about this space is that on the other side of this door, hidden inside of the door itself, is this full-length mirror. You can check your appearance before you leave, and this also enables us to not then need one of these standing full-length mirrors that takes up a bunch of space somewhere else in the house. Point number 3. So we have a Roomba, and the reason for that is because, except for the guest room, all the floor space of this house is on the first floor of the house, which is the type of house in which a Roomba really shines. And we knew that we wanted one early on, but we had also heard a bunch of horror stories from people that had bought these $500 or $600 robot vacuum cleaners, but then ended up not really using them, because when you're not using them, they've got these charging stations, and the Roomba itself is actually surprisingly large, and they end up taking up an entire corner, or this awkward section of your living room. Then you have to step over it and you bump into it, and it ends up being more of a hassle than it actually is. But because we knew we wanted one early on, what our architect suggested was this. We've got this little storage closet right here, and he said we could cut out just the bottom of that closet, put an outlet in there for the charging station. You'd never have to see it, but then you would still get all the benefits of the Roomba. And when it's all done, it just goes back home by itself. Point number 4, hidden cable drawer. So one of the things that I love so much about this architect is how he hides things. As a YouTuber, I have a bunch of USB cables, HDMI cables, audio cables, and taking a cue from the architect, I installed this drawer under this desk itself. So I keep all, my camera trinkets and stuff like that I use maybe once or twice a year and can't really throw away. They're all under there, and they're out of sight and out of mind when I'm not using them. So point number 5 is office lighting. We're currently in my office, and in the original tour video, I talked a little bit about how these side lights and these light rails along the ceiling enabled me to get rid of the giant light and tripod that I had in my previous office that took up half my room. What I didn't talk about in that video is how you can actually adjust the temperature and brightness of all these lights as well. So I've got this little switcher over here, and I can press these buttons to make these lights dimmer or change the temperature on these. And oftentimes what I do at night is I'll turn everything except these side lights off, and it kind of gets me in that mood before bed. If I've got one of my YouTube buddies here, we can use this flexibility to shoot another video in a different part of the office. Okay, so point number 6 is cable management. This is something that I'm very, very pleased with how it turned out. I've got a fairly intense setup when it comes to cables, but you shouldn't be able to see most of them. And the main reason for that is because although most outlets are at that height, I believe this is the standard height for an outlet in Japan, about 10 or so centimeters off the ground. The height of the 2 outlets that are under this desk is different from that of all the other outlets in the house. You can't really see them unless you either duck down or the desk is very, very high. So maybe now you can see the Ethernet cord. If you kind of squat down here, you can see what's actually going on in here. Up from above, when I'm working, I can't see almost any of those cables, so I'm really happy with how this turned out. Point number 7 is hidden storage. So there's hidden storage somewhere in this room. Where is it? That's right, it's under the tatami mat. So when you move or replace a tatami mat, you use a sharp kind of needle-like thing like this to stab the side of it rather than making a big scratch along the top of it. You want to kind of stab the side like that, and then you can lift it up. Here in my office, right here, there's a storage space. A great place for, again, just storing various things that I don't want to think about but can't throw away. Okay, so we're currently in the kitchen, and this behind me is the pantry, and there's a door here for when you want to block off the pantry. My wife has a little desk down here, so if she wants some personal time and wants to, you know, get some refuge from me. But point number 8 is actually this. On the other side of the door frame, there's this chalkboard that pops out, and the whole purpose of this is it gives my wife a way to write something down quickly when she's in the middle of cooking something, and or to reference what she's written down previously, even when she has greasy hands. You know, you don't want to take out your expensive $1,000 iPhone if you've got grease all over your hands, or if you've got flour all over your hands or something like that. But if it's chalk, you know, there's a little piece of chalk that we keep over here, and she can just write things down quickly and then, again, look back and forth between the kitchen and right here in the middle of cooking. It really just kind of follows the out of sight, out of mind design language of the house. In the original tour video, I talked about these shoji, Japanese paper doors that come out of the walls. Great way to change the atmosphere of the room, but it's also highly practical because it allows us to block out the extremely intense Japanese summer sun. It gets so hot in Japan during the summer that I shaved my head. I'm balding, that's another reason, but it's hot. We've got these paper doors for this window, and then that much larger window over there. Maybe you can get a shot of that real quick. But then point number 9 is actually these electric roll screens for the windows up above. Same basic idea. This gives us a practical, easy way to block out that intense summer sun without overworking our AC during the summer. We could have gone with, you know, a string as well, but we were a little worried about we've got 2 daughters and 2 small daughters that are constantly, you know, running along this kind of area of the house, and we were thinking, you know, they might get like kind of strung up in that, or get like an arm caught on that, then it could yank the entire thing down from the ceiling. So we went electric, and it just also, again, kind of cleans up the space much more. There aren't these 2 big strings that go all the way from the ceiling all the way to the floor. Currently in the family closet area. One of the things that we didn't talk about in the original tour video is this. This is a ladder that goes up to a different space entirely. This is actually a storage space, and I'm not going to show you guys because being a storage space, it's kind of just full of junk. But I do have a little bit of footage of my friend Norm from Tokyo Lens climbing up and reacting to the space up there, so I'll just drop that in here.
Oh, it's actually really spacious up here.
Emergency supplies.
Yeah.
I love how
there's a land port up here as well.
All right, so we're currently in the laundry area that leads into the onsen, the bathing / hot springs area. And point number 11 is this. So this is the drying rack for the clothes that you can wash but not dry using the washer / dryer. Being adjustable, it's really great for us because I'm really tall, which means that at this height, you know, I would run into it, but any higher than this, if it was set, it would be very difficult for my wife to use. But beyond that, if we've got, you know, a bunch of wet clothes that are hanging here, it makes this area very, very difficult to use. So we hang up the clothes, and then with the clothes hung on this, we can then raise it up, wash our faces in the morning or brush our teeth or whatever we need to do the next batch of laundry here. That's kind of the max height for hanging clothes, but if you press the button again and hold it, it goes all the way up into the ceiling. So this is the guest room. This is the place where my YouTube buddies come and stay overnight. We've got one of these ceiling lights, kind of more traditional Japanese ceiling light up here that you can, you know, turn off and turn on and off using a remote. But the grand finale of this video, point number 12, I believe, is this. So this light up here is actually this product called a PopIn Aladdin. It is a ceiling light, but it's also a wireless projector. The thing about this guest rooms in general, is that they're wonderful for when you have guests, but they're kind of a dead space for when you don't have a guest. We actually had this projector from our old house. We don't really like TVs that much. They're a little bit too easy to turn on and turn off, and we've got kids, and we'd prefer if they're not watching TV constantly. The architect said, okay, let's turn the guest room into a theater room as well. When you close this door, that little window, that window over there, and then you also turn off that light, it puts this big image up onto the wall, but it just hooks up to a standard Japanese ceiling light outlet. And then again, it's all wireless. So we've got our Wi-Fi router downstairs that's currently beaming us crisp broad, and we can sit back and use this beanbag chair over here and relax and get some, nice family time, watch Disney movies or Harry Potter movies or whatever we want to do. When the guest is here, there's not a giant TV that's blocking up half of the room and a bunch of cables. All right, but that's the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. For those that don't know, I teach Japanese pronunciation and pitch accent over on Patreon. I'll leave a link down in the description below. All right, see you guys soon. Bye.